I don't know, probably helping just a few, but that's kind of my basis of things that are coming into pass that I can bring up, well, over 80 years of things that happened, but I could say 70 years of experience of things that we've lived through and went through. And in my early years, I remember a lot of use coming out of those little power plants all over and what they performed, but they were 24/7, not part of a day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Dawn Peterson, registered to speak in opposition.
Good evening, or should I say good night? I live with that guy named Tony down at.
Keep going, it'll be good morning.
Exactly, I feel like. My address is N1701 15th Avenue. So of course, we're all the way at the end of 15th Avenue. There's 5 households on that house that are going to be facing these panels. And for what little research I have tried to do, I can't come up with a lot of data on what the health concerns. I mean, we know what they are, but there's no data supporting what the health concerns are. To my understanding, they try to put these solar panels in a very low residential area, understandably so, because we're not sure what the effect is possibly going to be. I have a concern with that because that directly affects me. He says I shouldn't be emotional. This is my livelihood. On my road, there's 5 families, 3 of which I'm related to. And across what is currently the wheat field is 5 grandbabies, and they're growing up next to these panels, and that makes me very emotional. I don't know what effect it's going to have on them growing up next to a solar field. I don't think you know. I know I don't know. And the data doesn't support that they know either. So my concern is possibly looking at different location where it's not going to be so residential. And when I say so residential, these 5 families are very important to me. I have a second question. Why are the panels not American made? Why? Why do we support China? Maybe long-term they would make the cut. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Edward Engel, registered to speak in opposition.
Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today to this audience. My family came to America 1880 approximately from Europe and settled in this area we're talking about mainly. And my family still lives there. And so I want to just say and address today that we wished we knew about this a long time ago, as you did, and as my town board did. It was a hidden item from us. We think this is tragic. Now, I want to hope that you can make a change for the better here. I want to just bring this article up before you. Wall Street Journal, 3 editions. Do not speak favorable of what we're talking about. Panels. The latest is in June. So I ask you to take a look at the Wall Street Journal. In various places in the country, this is not welcome, as I don't think it is here. Okay, I want to just say that we are citizens of Waushara County, town of Dakota, and we have to watch our government, no question about it. 20 years ago, we had the possibility of 2 prisons coming forth out of the Dakota Township. Hidden to us. We found out about it. We had to do battle to stop it. Okay. Some of the people here will remember it. Many of you won't. But that was tragic. And I'm reminded the way things happen now is much the way it was with that prison ordeal. We worked a whole summer, went on radio, newspapers, and wrote letters until we finally came to a vote. And my town chairman says, I'll bet it will pass. And I said, we'll see. And it got whipped. So this is what we're facing. Lack of information, lack of news. And it causes everyone here wonder, what's next? What could take place? And so the public forum would be very welcome that we could have that and bring it to a vote of the citizens of Waushara County. Would you think about that, please? Okay. Change of agriculture to industrial park class. I think it's a crime, honestly. We need that land, as other persons spoke here today. As property owners, residents and taxpayers object to this. I'm thinking of the Waddle property on Highway 21, the dense population along that roadway, and the possibility of living with panels on 3 sides of your property. Would you like to do that? I don't think you would. All right. I see 13 residential homes in the near area there of section 9 on the big hill that's spoken of. My background is natural resources. I worked 40 years on 60 projects. I covered a large area. I am an appraiser qualified, federal and state. That has been my work. And of these 60 projects, I was able to work with many people. I held many public meetings with persons that I worked with. Never did we leave people in a hanging situation like this. There's a better way to do it. Loss of value residential properties will occur. Because I have an appraisal background, I really believe that's true. And being an appraisal myself, I did many appraisals, and you see the things that turn people away have been mentioned tonight. You put a minus there, value goes down in appraisal work. Long investments involving the owner's finances, construction and maintenance. This is a most unique area, as already is described. And I want to tell you, if you haven't been out there and taken a look at it, I invite you to come. I live on Cottonville Drive, and I'd be happy to escort you. This large hill is found in Indian history. Dakota is a name from Native Americans. I like that. There's very much Native information about Dakota, and I had looked it up. The Lunch Creek has already been managed, spoken of, 25,000 or 100 acres, 2,500 acres with a beautiful trout stream starting up near the Waddle farm and going down to Nash Coral flowage.
Could you wrap it up, sir?
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
More applicants.
All right. Thank you. The project that I'm looking at there is very beautiful. Sort of one of the most beautiful places I have ever seen. Miss Jeanette just spoke about living by it. But if that's fenced off and that big hill is closed, let me tell you, there's going to be a big change in wildlife there. Because every day, especially in fall, winter, and spring, It's just amazing to see the wildlife coming up through there, including, well, I don't even have to name them, black bear, deer, and the like. We see eagles and ospreys here. It's a most unique place. This project is home for so many species, fall and winter and spring. It would be very desirable to keep that field open, huge field. I have used tremendous opportunities to teach classes, university level and high school and so forth, out at that site. There is considerable Native American history right where you're talking about there. I'm speaking of considerable. I think it should not be disturbed. Now, to the Wautoma Airport has become an increasingly busy place. It would seem it would be a safety issue to have it open because we've had numerous accidents out there, including 2 deaths. And I want to just go back to one other place. You all maybe know where the town hall is, Dakota Township. Okay, there's a little lake right there called Milky Lake. And I worked on this project here where we have a very special happening taking place there. The beautiful thing there is that there are trumpeter swans, a critical species, endangered species that nest there. And then there are others in the area of Dakota Township. Okay, this takes place right near one of your boundaries. So please keep that in mind. And thank you very much. I respect you for listening to me today.
Thank you. Next up,
Okay. Elaine Waddell, registered to speak in opposition. Some water, would you like some?
Good evening. I'm Elaine Wadel. I have a petition to block the proposed 99 megawatt solar facilities in Waushara County. The petition summary and background: due to the negative environmental impact on wildlife, the potential decrease in land value suffered by residents of Waushara County, and other unforeseen and unquantifiable impact the facility could impose on the close proximity residents whose homes and lands are adjacent to the proposed facility. We, the undersigned, are concerned citizens who urge our leaders to act now to block the implementation of the proposed 99 megawatt solar facilities in Waushara County. I would like to give those two and have those included in the record. And also, I am here opposing the Alliant Energy Solar Project. Our property is at W9297 State Road 21, and our 69-acre property is owned and farmed with our sons. This property is bordered by State Road 21 on the north, sand land on the west, and on the south and partially on the east by the Wandry property. John, who is 75 years old now, was raised on this property, and we have lived in our residence for 48 years, which is one of 12 residents from 13th Avenue to County Road Y. There are about 12 additional residences on County Road Y. This solar project is being located in a populated residential area. We oppose the solar facility as it will not enhance the area and do not believe it would be a good neighbor or as eco-friendly as proposed by Alliant Energy. There are wetlands on our property as well as other wetlands in the area, and we feel that there would be a tremendous impact on the wildlife. This project may hinder any game hunting on our property due to the close proximity of these panels. We are not convinced that the answers by land are satisfactory concerning health issues, noise, wildlife, property values, and various other issues. We feel there is a lack of concern for adjacent property owners by land, as displayed by the lack of notice of such a proposed facility, and many residents believed that it only involved property at the Wautoma Airport. Since this proposed property or project involves many acres of farmland and picturesque areas in Waushara County, I would request that the conditional use permit for Alliant Energy be denied. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Elaine, can I have that so we can, okay. There will be signature verification and IDs after this. No. Can't do that. That's prejudicial. All right. Gary and Ellen Kiskala, registered to speak in opposition.
Well, I'm gonna read most of it because I'm not that, I've been in the woods a long time. 50 years of being a logger, hunting and trapping. So the land means a lot to me. This land that we live on at W8411 State Road 21 is the old Colonel Bird's land. Bird Creek runs along the one side of us, and then highway, and then what they want to fence off on the west side and the south side. So obviously, this isn't something I'd like to see. Ellen and myself we have been entrusted to care for this land. Okay, I don't know if I'll stretch them. Oh, this almost makes it worse. All right. This land was my wife's childhood home since birth. And now it's been my home for the past 40 years. This land is a sacred trust from God. It's a blessing of forest and Bird Creek to the surrounding people of Wautoma. Now it's proposed to fence our land in on the south and west property line, cutting off the natural flow of animals that have used these trails for thousands of years. This project is short-sighted and very questionable. It's coming right to the city limits. So where would the city expand to if you want growth to eventually come to this town? You're going to have it full of panels. I won't live probably another 20 years. So, you know, you guys got time later, but don't do it now because this ain't going to go over too good with me. All right. Ellen, maybe you should talk before I get myself hung.
Yeah. You can pitch in what I got. Good evening. It's been a beautiful day in Waushara County, hasn't it been? And we're thankful, so thankful for this rich land full of trees and water and birds and mammals and amphibians, reptiles of many kinds. Plants provide us here with abundant cleansing oxygen and beauty for the eye and soul. That's important, down inside. I have considered what is proposed before us in the 1,284 or 83.5 acre project. This huge amount of metal and other materials, I was going to say from who knows where, but somebody already said China, so I can say that word, which is proposed to be hauled into this rich, healthy, and beautiful Dakota, will be a landfill junk. Maybe some of it will be used somewhere, but in our children and grandchildren's future. I have weighed this so-called benefit of limited energy obtained versus the tragic depletion of this amazing blessed area of Dakota. The beauty and health of this land today far outweigh the devastation of hauling in inferior materials. The verdict about outcome relating to Waushara's residents' health, including the physical, mental, and emotional health, is far from factual understanding. We need to protect our health, and if we don't, no one else will or care. And you have been elected, I presume, number one, because you care about this land and the people that live and die here. I respect the position where you have been placed, and because of your intelligence, I want to trust that you look more closely into this proposal, which will have a tremendous impact on this land and people. And we ask that you protect this good ground that we walk on every day. Thank you kindly.
Thank you. Next.
Judy Voigt, registered to speak in opposition.
I am going to be short. I live on N 1802 15th Avenue. I am in the sparsely populated area. And my neighbors have all made most excellent points. Everything that was on my list to say has been covered, and then some, especially elimination of the fencing, referendum, which I really haven't heard any response to. But just at the very end, I want to say that 30 years is a long time to take this beautiful land out of farming, out of the option of becoming residential. It won't be my lifetime, I'll be gone, but it would be nice if Wautoma could grow. And that was a comment just made. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Richard Voigt, registered to speak in opposition.
I live on N 1802 15th Avenue on the hill. Alliant Energy retiree I am, so I didn't like the way things were presented to us as far as hear me okay? You know, the way it was given to us was, first of all, was supposed to be the airport only. And that was fine with most people, I think, in this room, I think is. But then within the last 2 months, we get a letter from Alliant saying it's going to be next door to us and around us and everywhere else. But which I didn't like, was kind of like a under the table thing. Didn't appreciate that at all, kind of, you know, sideswiped, I guess. But I know, you know, everybody needs electric, and I was in electric field myself. And, you know, but nobody wants it in their backyard. I mean, that's pretty much it. The hill that we live on is all hill pretty much. It's not flat at all for, you know, for solar as they like, you know. There's other areas, I think, like in Hancock by the Sand Lake sub, it's wide open, flat, you know, open. That could be a lot better than, I mean, where we live on the hill, there's probably 12 residents there, all gonna be looking at this stuff. And it's not a pretty picture, in my opinion, but and there's other, you know, that's just our area, 12 residents are gonna be looking at this stuff. And I just don't, I don't agree with it. I think we should hold off on it. I think there's better options elsewhere that's less populated. Especially that hill, like Elbert said, it's a very, you know, it's like a bluff. It's pretty like in the middle of nowhere there, but I wish they would just do it, either not use that field or take it to the airport where it originally was supposed to be. Maybe that's a better plan, but I could say a lot more, but I guess I don't have enough time, but But thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Nancy Anderson, registered to speak in opposition.
Evening. My name is Nancy Anderson. I live at N 1532 State Road 22, Town of Dakota. My home is near the proposed site. I am not in favor of the solar farm. We received a letter dated May 24th, 2021 from the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin stating the commission will hold technical and public hearings on the proposed project. At least 30 days before the hearings, the commission will issue a notice of hearing and notify the local news media. I have not heard anything about these meetings. So, we haven't heard anything about this. The letter states the commission must base its decisions about the project in part on the record of the hearing. So why are we discussing zoning changes when the residents of Dakota have not been able to voice their concerns to the commission? On Monday, we had a meeting at the Dakota Town Hall only because the concerned residents of Dakota requested it. Other than that meeting, there has been silence. Besides ruining our beautiful landscape, I am very concerned about the effects on our wildlife and environment. We have beautiful lakes and streams nearby that are home to many species of birds. We watch thousands of geese and sandhill cranes migrate right through that field every spring and fall. I know you may or may not use that field across from the airport, but that's where we live next to. We have the rare trumpeter swan that nests in nearby Milky Lake. When the trumpeter swans fly over our home is a magnificent sight. Are they going to be safe from the glare of these panels? I don't know. These are things that we don't know. We don't know if our precious wildlife, our birds, everything's going to be ruined. If this decision is approved, it will go down in history as the worst mistake ever made in the town of Dakota. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a number of individuals in that are registered only in opposition but wish not to speak. Clay Swen, Chelsea Swen, Joan Semro, Steve Sharat, Barbara Semro, Mark Humschild, Catherine Frank, Paul Hedrick, Jeff Weiss, Sue Weiss, Holly Dolkey, Suzanne Hammonds, Norman Hammonds, Erica Hendrickson, Leif Hendrickson, Irene Wengend, Jerry Johnson, Misty Homschild, Derek Homschild, and Judy Wellencotter. Do have a couple registrants here wishing appear to speak for informational only. The first is Joe Dubinsky. No. Second is Glenn Anderson, appearing to speak for informational only. That's what you, that's okay.
I oppose.
Okay.
Thank you all for letting me speak tonight. My name is Glenn Anderson. I live on N 1532 State Road 22. What we got going here is the cart before the horse. We have gotten wind that there's been discussions, whether it be Dakota, Waushara, even you gentlemen, and about 2019 of a solar farm possibly going in. I do have a newspaper trail of dates of when we've all got information. I do not own a computer. Since I retired, I let that go. I have a smartphone that's smarter than me. So when you talk about docket and look it up, many of us are in the dark. That ain't gonna fly because not everybody has a computer. That being said, we rely on the newspaper. I got a paper trail. When it first came out, City of Watoma Council consider solar project. We were at that meeting on the 13th. They said they were going to be open meetings down the line. Heard nothing since in the paper. City council gives go ahead. I missed that. Alliance Energy clarifies proposals, solar farm in Watoma area in the paper. And I have anything that pertains to solar farm from day one here in the paper. We were looking at a map like this, which I still opposed. May 24th, which is basically April, May, almost June, and now it's the middle of July. We had about a month and a half strong where this was sent out to local people explaining what's going on in a much bigger scheme. With the first time, so a month and a half, first time we saw this map. That being said, when something of this importance is being underneath the table, I'll call it, for Dakota, for Watoma, for us, that knew about it, should have been put on a referendum, something this important, so we could have our say. This was not sent to everybody in Watoma. People we talked to in Dakota, most of them didn't even never heard about this. So this was limited people that got this, that was just close to the area. That's not right either. This should have been sent to everybody in Watoma and Dakota and put up for a referendum. Now, I got nothing against Alliance. They're just trying to get a project going. But I've been in construction 40 years of my life. Last 20 years, I ran work. I'll paint a picture of what's going to happen out there. For a year and a half to 2, you're going to see gravel trucks. You're going to see dozers clearing the vegetation off. You're going to see concrete piers, pylons, steel structures, metal panels, fencing, maybe some with barbed wire. You're looking at turning a wonderful Dakota farmland area into a commercial area. You're changing Dakota into a commercial area. It barely even reflects on Watoma. It's all Dakota. I recommend, and I'm strongly hoping you would see the same thing, of the paper trail and all we had is not enough for the concerned citizens to be aware of what's going on here, that you table this and give it some time till this all comes up for a vote. For the people, your friends, the citizens of Watoma, Dakota can vote on it. See if we want this here or not. If we were to listen to Al Gore, we'd be underwater with the ice cap melted by now. Not everybody is in favor and or against or has a big kick with this solar business. It's going to be a big eyesore. It's going to turn us into a commercial area instead of a farming area. And I need you all to think about that. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you.
Glenn Anderson, registered to speak. Oh, I apologize. Registered to speak. Never mind. I apologize. Wow.
It's getting late.
It is getting late. It's my bedtime. Okay. We have one last person registered to speak for informational only. It's Eugene Krolikowski. Did I batch it that bad?
The information I'm asking for, and I got this off the computer, it says solar panels are clean. Why do they produce so much toxic? He told us the other night, Monday night, they're made of silicone. Yeah, he's right, they are. But he did not tell us they are made of tetrachloride. Very, very toxic to your crop. Get rid of it. He's not telling you the whole story, gentlemen. Better dig into this. This needs to be on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff comments.
Okay. What I'm going to do, everyone's got a copy of the staff report, and I just kind of want to give a little summary in terms of how this all started here at the county-wide, where we got and basically where we've come to today. Originally, Annette, Robert Civic, the former administrator, myself met with representatives of Alliant back in 2019. It was at that time that they were looking at this area, identified some properties, however, had no leases, anything like that, but it wanted to see how the county felt about this type of thing. And obviously, we went back to our comprehensive plan. I know Robert Civic was very supportive of it. Our comprehensive plan, the county comprehensive plan, as well as that of the town comprehensive plan, does encourage research and development of renewable energies, and specifically referencing wind energy and solar. So, from there, there were talks, we've gone back and forth, areas changed, so forth. However, in looking at our codes, we had no reference in that from a selective conditional use or even a listed conditional use. We had wind energy. So I went back and I started doing some research and found the state statutes kind of, collectively put together wind energy and solar. So we did the same thing within our comp plan. And if you recall, in 2020, when we amended the text, we specifically listed solar along with wind energy as a selected conditional use. And we also then went and established some standards. The standards that we incorporated were basically following the state statutes, and it's statute 66, that actually started developing some parameters in terms of how we are to review these, what types of conditions we can put on. The state statutes are pretty specific. We cannot, we are not supposed to anyways, affix conditions that can unreasonably increase the cost of the development, or it could be, grounds for us in that to basically have those stricken. But there were also standards in there such as that we had to identify areas and put these primarily in agricultural areas. State statutes are quite clear. There are there are grounds to deny a proposal if they earmark property that is shown on a comprehensive plan as residential or commercial. This is not residential or commercial property per the comp plans. This is all agricultural lands. There's a couple things we did do when we incorporate our codes, which is actually above and beyond, or I should say a little bit more restrictive than the state statutes. We incorporated 50-foot perimeter setback for any structure. Our codes, if somebody were to build a house in an ag land, we only have a 20-foot setback from rear property lines and side property lines. We are incorporating a larger setback in that so as to be a little bit sensitive to neighbors. We also put provisions in there for buffering adjacent to residential areas. And I'm going to get into the condition specifically that was discussed in the town of Dakota. So we did go back in 2020 and we amended our codes. So from a zoning perspective, when we review these types of things, we have to look at all those factors. We have to look at state statutes. We have to look at our comprehensive plan, and we have to look at our codes. We also have to look at our conditional use standards. Our conditional use standards are also quite specific. If, and this goes back to the Property Rights Bill of 2017, which conditional use permits were also thrown in there, is that if an applicant meets all of the conditions of your conditional use criteria, you must approve. Now, does that mean that we don't have the authority or don't have the power to deny? We can deny anything. However, anything can be challenged and can be overturned. But in review of that, staff does believe that, Alliant Energy has put forth great effort in terms of locating the panels. They are disturbing, very, very little area in terms of natural wetlands. They've taken it completely out of the floodplain, completely out of forested areas. These things have been located literally atop farmed cropland. They do, as some of the conditions I'm sure you've seen in the report, they are going to have to go through the PSC for their approvals. They're going to have to go through the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources to obtain all their approvals. If there are wetlands that they are disturbing, we will require a formal approval and sign off from the DNR. Those areas will have to be clearly delineated. The one thing that we did incorporate as per the request Number one, we already had a condition in there regarding a financial surety, should at the time of decommissioning. But we did put in a condition that a continuous vegetative buffer shall be provided adjacent to each residence, which abuts the overall design, or excuse me, which abuts, yes, the overall design, which abuts the solar farm so that said panels are screened from view from adjoining residences. The overall design shall be incorporated into development plans and be approved by the Waushara County Land Conservation Department. Outside of that, staff, because of the adherence to comprehensive plans and the conditional use standards, as well as the standards specifically listed for selective conditional uses, we are recommending approval subject to the conditions listed in your report.
This time, Alliant has a chance to rebuttal or to answer any other questions or make any other comments.
So it's for the solar panels for any structures. Now, one thing though, too, and I don't know if you've looked in detail at their drawings, I know there was a comment on Monday night about fencing around their entire property line. Their fencing is actually pulled in considerably from the edge of their property line. It actually encompasses the arrays. So it's not going to be a straight, it's going to zigzag around. So the fencing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, the fencing you're showing is considerably off of the property line in many areas. Well, and it will, off of 21, your setback is much greater. It's 110 foot from center line. That would be the minimum is 110 feet off of the center line of the roadway. Well, yeah. I think that's a question that Alliant would probably have to answer if that can be accommodated. I would assume though that the reason why the fence is at a certain location, you have to allow maintenance vehicles to get around their site.
Okay, thank you. This time that will end the public hearing. We'll go into our regular monthly meeting. Call this meeting to order. Roll call show that all members are present. I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
I'll make a motion to approve as printed.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?